Remember, Sally, when I promised to kill you last?
That's right, Major. You did.
I lied.
Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of Digital Fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn. Today's deck is our first deck of 2024, and what I decided to do was take my favorite deck from 2023 and make a new version of it, iterate on it, and put it into a different color combination a bit. And I think what we came up with is an even better version of what's my favorite deck of 2023, and honestly, I think it's one of the better decks that I put up on the channel last year, and this deck, it just absolutely destroys. Before we talk about the deck, I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons over on patreon.com/quarantined Capricorn. I'm tired, guys. It's been a long New Year's. That's Yuck Foozy and Squirrel at the Brew Crew Elite tier, and Marlack at the Brew Crew tier, and then of course our forever CPU savior, Terrence Rohrbach. Thank you guys so much for your contributions. You are the absolute best. Now this deck is called Shadow War. We took Jund Battles. We said forget about Jund, get rid of the green. We're making it Grixis. And we're making it Grixis for a good reason, because Kaito, specifically 4-drop Kaito, is absolutely insane with so many of the cards in this deck. And I really think what we ended up with is something super special, super fun, and super effective. Before we talk about the deck and break it down, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. We blew past 4,000 subscribers. We're over 1 million views. The channel's full steam ahead. I've got tons of deck techs lined up. Spoiler season's about to start for Murders at Karlov Manor. There's so much coming. I can't wait, guys. It's going to be a crazy year. Happy New Year's to everyone. 2024, let's go. Comment down below and let me know what you want out of 2024. Let me know what your New Year's resolution is, and we'll see if it gels with mine. But anyway, check me out live Monday through Friday over on Twitch. My new schedule is up. It is accurate. That's twitch.tv/quarantined Capricorn, because if I'm alive and I'm breathing, I'm there and I'm streaming. Let's check out this deck. Alright, so the premise of this deck is very simple. We're taking my favorite deck from 2023, which was Jund Battles, and we are changing it to Grixis so that we can take it to the next level with some new cards that we didn't really take into consideration before. So let's start with the core of the deck, All Will Be One. 5-drop enchantment. When it's on the battlefield, anytime anything gets a counter, we get to ping for damage equal to however many counters are put on whatever it is that's getting counters. So the idea here is the entire deck is battles or other cards that can either come into play with a bunch of counters on them, like Planeswalkers, or cards that can very easily add counters to themselves or other things for no mana to very easily trigger All Will Be One. I think All Will Be One is best when you can trigger it the turn it comes into play, which means you need ways to trigger it without any mana, so that on 5 you can slam All Will Be One, and then you have things to activate to get a little value off of it, so it's not completely wasting a turn just to get this into play. But what's cool about this deck is because we have so many battles, all of our battles can serve as creature removal and control until we get All Will Be One, but then once we have All Will Be One on the field, they all double as win conditions or even more removal. So everything in the deck becomes a win condition once this thing hits the field, and that is just absolutely lethal. So we're going to start at the bottom of the curve and work our way up, and along the way I'll note the new cards and how they make the deck that much better. So 1 Ingenious Prodigy, 1 blue and X, it's a 0/1 with Skulk, comes in with X counters, and then during our upkeep we can remove a counter to draw a card once a turn. So this is a nice draw engine, but what's really cool about this is if we play it after we have All Will Be One out, whatever we spend on X is basically also do X damage. And there is some other synergy that I want to talk about with this card, but we'll get to that later when we get to the card that it synergizes with. Moving on to the 2-drop slots, we have 4 Invasion of Tarkir and 4 Invasion of Azgol. Both of them are 2-drop removal spells. The Tarkir can hit small creatures for damage. Azgol can get rid of any one creature they have on the field. So sometimes it's really good to follow up like a sweeper or something like that with the Azgol, because like the one big creature we can't hit with like a damage sweeper, we can make them then sacrifice to Azgol. But it's really good on too to just keep pace and make them get rid of whatever they're curving out with, so that we can draw out the game until we can get our combos and our win conditions going. It's also worth noting that because most of the cards in the deck are battles, especially the removal cards, a deck like this is really good against other control decks. Normally the problem with control is you have a lot of slots dedicated to creature removal, and if you're up against another control deck, those are mostly dead cards that you're not going to use nearly as much, and they kind of just sit in your hand. But in a deck like this, with battles as the removal spells, if we're up against control and we have nothing to kill, we can still get the battle out, and then we have presence on the board that we can get value off of later by flipping the battle. So it's like every single one of our removal spells is doubling as board presence, is doubling as a way to put pressure on the opponent, which is still useful if we're up against decks that aren't running many creatures. And that's why I think a tap-out control version that uses battles specifically can be really good, because regardless of what you're up against, none of your cards are dead cards. And it's pretty darn effective. We also have 4 Tablet of Completion. This card is key because not only does it add a counter to itself every turn, it's able to trigger All Will Be One by itself, but if it comes down on 2, by the time turn 4 hits, it's turned into a mana rock because it will have 2 oil counters on it, which means you can use it for the 5th mana to play an All Will Be One at turn earlier on 4. Sometimes when you're up against something like aggro, you won't be able to do that, or you won't want to do that because you need to stabilize the board and you can't spend your turn 4 just playing All Will Be One. But if you're up against something like control, being able to get All Will Be One out an entire turn quicker, to just start smashing the opponent in the face and win the game before they, go over the top with value, can be super important. And then if we get this thing to 5 counters, we can just start drawing a card off of it every single turn for just 1 mana, which is really, really good. Essentially having a Phyrexian arena on the field that only costs us 2 mana instead of 3 and doesn't make us lose a life. We do have to pay 1 mana, but it's still just 1 mana. Every turn we draw an extra card for 1 mana. So it just kind of does everything. Absolutely in love with this card, and it's a perfect fit for this deck in particular because it's another way that we can add a counter without spending any mana the turn that an All Will Be One comes down. If we have the 5 mana and we slam an All Will Be One, and then afterwards we add tap the tablet to add a counter, we get to ping whatever we want. So it's a little bit of extra value in that way too. We're also running 1 Filigree Sylex. It's another thing that can add counters every turn without spending mana, so it's good with All Will Be One. But while we're curving out, this is really effective at kind of like controlling the opponent's board state and making them second guess what they're going to play, because we wait to add a counter at the end of their turn to keep our options open. If this thing's at 1 counter, they're going to be scared to play 1-drops because we can just blow it up that turn and take out the 1-drop they already have down and whatever one they play that turn. But they're also going to be scared to play 2-drops because if they play their 2-drop, when they say go, we add another counter at end of turn, and then on our turn, if we want, we can just sack it, kill their 2-drop. So by having this on the board and waiting until the end of their turn to add a counter to it, it creates really difficult decisions for our opponent, where a lot of the times it just slows them down because they don't want to play anything that we're going to get value off of by killing with the Sylex. So it creates a really weird play pattern where they're not getting as much value out of their curve, out of what they're curving out with, as they'd like, because they're trying to play around the Sylex, which is really nice. But this also serves as an alternate win condition. There's a lot of things that put oil counters on stuff in this deck, and if we get this later in the game, we can just slam it, tap it, remove 10 oil counters, do 10 damage to whatever we want, and just end the game outright. Moving on to the 3-drop slot, 4 Render Inert, because it will finish our battles automatically while drawing us a card and let us play the backside of that battle for free. This card is super clutch. It's also nice as an alternate way to kill planeswalkers. And then every now and then it comes in handy for killing like creatures that have +1/+1 counters on them, or just turning those creatures into such small creatures that they're ineffective on the board for the most part. So there's a lot of versatility in this card, as long as we're using it in a deck that has a bunch of invasions, battles to complete with it, so that it's never really dead. And in that case, it's always good, with the upside of sometimes being even better, being able to take out our opponent's permanents and always drawing us a card no matter what. So super, super good for a deck like this. We're also running 3 Invasion of Regatha. Another card I'd like to be running 4 of, but I think 3 is the sweet spot. We can do 4 damage to the head. If we have All Will Be 1 out, we can do 4 damage to the head, and then it's got 5 loyalty, so another 5 to the head. We can do 9 damage to our opponent with this one card if an All Will Be 1 is in play, but it also doubles as a way to complete our battles, so that Render Inert's not really the only way to complete the battles. We could slam the Invasion of Regatha, do 4 damage directly to a battle, and flip it immediately, while then also having this battle on the field that we can flip later for even more value. And the Disciples of the Inferno on the backside is absolutely nuts, because not only is it a 4/4 prowess creature, but every time a non-creature source you control would deal damage to a creature, battle, or opponent, it deals that much damage +2 instead. So now our All Will Be 1 is not pinging. Every time we get a counter, it's doing lightning bolts, which is absolutely insane. We've also got 3 Urabrask's Forge, 3 mana artifact. This thing will add a counter to it, an oil counter in particular, every turn, and then create a token that can swing in. That token's going to get bigger and bigger every turn, but the token dies at end of turn. We don't really care. This is absolutely great for just constantly creating an increasing threat that can swing in at our battles and complete all of our different battles. So it's another way, in addition to Invasion of Regatha and Render Inert, that we can complete our battles pretty consistently, and they can't stop us with creature removal. There's barely any creatures in this deck, and it makes most of their creature removal a waste of cards, dead cards that sit in their hand, which lets us get way over their head as far as card value or card advantage is concerned. It also doubles as a win condition, because the tokens get bigger and bigger and bigger. We can send them at our opponent's head and close out the game if they can't deal with it, which is pretty sweet. We've also got 1 Ob Nixilis, because it comes into play with loyalty. If we get to make a copy of it, we've got 2 planeswalkers coming into play with loyalty that can both trigger All Will Be 1. But we have some extra value here in that if we have a Forge down and it eventually gets up to like 7 or more counters, after we swing with the 7/1 Trampler, we can sacrifice it to Ob Nixilis to make the copy, and that copy is going to come in with 7 loyalty and be able to ultimate immediately. If we're swinging with a 7/1 Trampler and then immediately ultimating and doing 7 damage to their head, usually that's going to end the game outright. So there's some extra value baked in with Ob Nixilis there. And then we've got 1 copy of Kaito Shizuki, because again, it's going to come in with loyalty counters. It's going to be good with All Will Be 1, but it's also going to give us a lot of value if we play it on curve. It's going to help us draw cards every turn. It's going to give us unblockable creature tokens that we can put to good use, especially when it comes to flipping our battles. If we have a battle that just needs 1 more damage to be done to flip it, now we don't have to worry about wasting whole spells like Render Inert to do that. We can just swing in with the little 1/1 unblockable guy, finish it off. It's a great addition. We've also got 1 Liliana of the Veil, same thing, 3 loyalty counters, so it'll work really well with All Will Be 1, but it's another card that we can use almost as a 3-drop version of Invasion of Azgol, where we jam it on 3, we make them sacrifice what we hope is their only creature on the board at that time after playing a 2-drop piece of removal, and then we also have this Planeswalker to get us value over time. Whereas if we get it later in the game, we play it after an All Will Be 1, and then we get extra damage off of it. So there's a lot of versatility with this, and if we ever get it to the point where it can ultimate, obviously it'll just close out the game. We're also trying 1 Brass's Tunnel Grinder from Ixalan. This is a legendary artifact for 3 mana. You can discard any number of cards when you play it, draw that many +1, and then at the end of every turn in which you've descended, which this deck can do pretty easily, we get to put a counter on Brass's Tunnel Grinder, and then once it gets to 3, it flips into Tekuclan, And this is good not only for its ability, but also it's just a free another land. So getting to ramp an extra land onto the battlefield in the same turn, like playing a land from our hand and flipping this into Tekutlon and going up 2 mana in like a Grixis deck that doesn't even run green can be super powerful. But then the ability as well, like anything that we play from our hand that triggers Tekutlon and lets us discover X can find so much value. If we already have an All Will Be One on the field, or even if we just play an All Will Be One with the Tekutlon, it triggers Discover, and if we hit any of our battles off the Discover, the All Will Be One is in play. So the battle comes in off the Discover and triggers the All Will Be One, and we get a ton of damage right there. So it's a super good combo piece, sort of, with All Will Be One, where we it's another way where we can get value off of All Will Be One the turn that we play it, which is super powerful in a deck like this. 4-drop slot, we've also got 4 Invasion of Karsus, because it's a really, really good sweeper. 3 damage to everything, including Planeswalkers. But what's even better than that is if we flip this, which it only has 4 loyalty counters, not 5, so it's even easier to flip this than some of the other invasions. And if we flip it, we get a 4/4 that they can't kill without paying 2 life to target it. And whenever you cast a spell, you deal 2 damage to each opponent. If you have this flipped and the Invasion of Regatha flipped, every time you cast a spell, you're doing 2 damage to the opponent, and that 2 damage is then getting an additional 2 damage from Disciples of the Inferno, and you're actually hitting for 4. So every spell you cast hits for 4 if you have both of those flipped at the same time, which can be absolutely nutty. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about my favorite card in the deck, and the reason I wanted to go Grixis instead of Jund, and that's Kaito Dancing Shadow. This is probably my favorite Planeswalker right now. 4 mana, 3 loyalty Planeswalker. Since it's a Planeswalker, it works really well with All Will Be One, like I've said for all the Planeswalkers. Has a static ability. Whenever you deal damage to the opponent with a creature, you may bounce that creature after combat back to your hand, and if you do, you get to use his loyalty abilities a second time. So what you can do is you can swing with an Urabrask's Forge token, and then since the token's gonna die at end of turn anyway, you can bounce the token and it just disappears, just to get a free way to activate his abilities a second time. But what's even better than that is if we flip any of our battles into creatures, we can then attack with that creature and then use Kaito to bounce it to our hand to not only get extra activations of Kaito's loyalty abilities, but we can also replay the battle as the battle and not the creature, and get more triggers off the battle, get more triggers off of All Will Be One if we already have an All Will Be One down, you know, using our battles before we play All Will Be One to control the board, and then slamming All Will Be One, and then after All Will Be One's on the field, being able to return those battles to our hand with Kaito in order to replay to now get the extra damage off of All Will Be One when we play them. There's just so much synergy built into that, it gets kind of insane. We can do even more crazy stuff like the Ingenious Prodigy. If we get the Ingenious Prodigy down early and it doesn't get removed, eventually we can just attack with it. Since it has the Skulk, it's really hard for our opponents to block it. And then we can choose, if it deals damage to the combat damage to the opponent, we can actually just choose to return the Prodigy to our hand with Kaito to get the activations, the extra activations of the loyalty abilities. But then we can replay the Ingenious Prodigy for X again, which is probably way more than what we originally played it for, and then we can keep drawing cards off it every turn. And if the game gets dragged out super long because we're against control, we can do this multiple times. So we can keep running it out of counters, draw cards, return it to our hand with Kaito, recast it for even more, and just keep going and going and going. Or maybe even just get to the exact power we need it to be in order for the Skulk to kind of turn on and let it be unblockable. So it's like if our opponent gets a very specific blocker route that we need to get through, we can maybe get it back into our hand with Kaito at some point and replay it at the exact power we need it in order to get through and win the game. There's just a lot of really cool silver lining synergies and interactions and ways to combo cards. And I think it makes this deck super fun and also super effective. So this is the deck. We're running a lot of dual lands in order to make it work. We've got 4 Xander's Lounge, 2 Sulfurous Springs, 4 Blackcleave Cliffs, 3 Stormcarved Coast, Shivan Reef, 1 Restless Spire, because I think it's good to have the 1-man land at least, so you have the chance to have something that can just turn on and swing in at a battle if the board is clear, if you're playing against control, if you're playing against a deck that uses a lot of sorcery speed, wrath effects, board wipes. It's really good to have something like Restless Spire to swing in at your battles every turn without them being able to kill it with their sweepers. It's for the same reason we run the Forge, basically. We've also got 3 Shipwreck Marsh, 2 Dark Slick Shores. It's really important that the Rakdos lands can be played untapped on turn 2, because we want to make sure we can play Invasion of Azgol on turn 2 if we need to. So as long as we have a black or a red land tapped on turn 1, all we need is an untapped black or red source on 2, and we can make sure we play that Azgol. And that's like the hardest combination of mana. It's like the hardest thing to play on curve in the deck. So designing our mana base around increasing our chances to play that on curve on 2 is important. So I think it's important to keep all of our Rakdos mana as the lands that can come into play untapped on turn 2. So 4 Cliffs and 2 Sulfurous Springs. And then the lands that have blue in them can be like the slower lands that can come in on 3, since we usually aren't playing any blue cards until turn 3 or later. We were also running 3 Monumental Facade. I would love to run the full playset of this, but because we're in Grixis and because it's so important for us to hit our colors, I really feel like 3 is the absolute maximum we can do without screwing up the consistency of being able to curve out properly with our spells. So we're running the 3, and being able to play this as a land when All Will Be One is already out, to just basically shock anything because it comes in with 2 oil counters, and then tap it to put a counter on something else to ping something with All Will Be One. And then not to mention the fact that whatever we're putting the oil counters on, like we're growing the size of our forge an extra point sooner than it otherwise would. We can grow our Tablet of Completion, get it to the point where we're drawing cards sooner, or maybe we just have enough oil counters finally to pop our Filigree Sylex. So the Monumental Facade is super good in this deck. Like I said, I'd love to run 4, but I really feel like 3 is the absolute most you can possibly get away with without making the deck just too inconsistent as far as the colors that it needs on curve. So this is the deck. It's freaking awesome. I'm going to continue to iterate on this as each set comes out because I'm absolutely in love with this battle style, like all-in, this all-in tap-out control style deck. I'm in love with the way that it gets value off of almost all of its removal spells, even if we're up against decks that are creatureless. And it's super powerful and a ton of fun to play, and super effective on the ladder, honestly. I recommend that if you have most of the cards already, you should give it a whirl. It's freaking awesome. I'm going to stop babbling. This is the first deck of 2024. Let's check out how it does. No red mana. Mulligan. Sure. Put back All Will Be One. We don't need it until later. Sulfurous Springs, in case we get lucky to top deck a Rakdos land. We'd be able to slam the Azgol. Hey, there we go. But we're not, because he didn't play a creature. So, Tablet, pass turn. Show me what you've got. Alright, oil counter on the tablet. Another Render Inert. What the hell's going on? Pass turn. This is ridiculous. You remember how I just got done saying the last 3 games have had ridiculous, stupid RNGesus throwing the game for us? Well, let's make that 4 games, I guess. We'll get you eventually, Fairy Mastermind. feel it in my soul.
There are many secrets I don't know. Not. There's no secret I can't uncover.
Alright. Another oil counter. We're gonna go Azgol. Make sure he gets rid of that mastermind. And let's see. I guess we'll go like this. Pass a turn. Next turn we can inert the Azgol at least. Draw a card and get a creature. Force him to have to deal with the creature. To be very careful about what he plays because of the Filigree Sylex. What you got, Or Christ? Come on. Show me the thing. Hello. It is your go. Shieldred, sure. Don't know if we can get to 4 on Sylex. It's gonna be a little tricky. Definitely put 1 on. We will draw. Oh, Liliana. Perfect. Perfect. Alright, goodbye Shieldred. It's gonna be okay.
Off you go.
We're gonna be okay. And the turn. My dog has a toy. Hey, did you get the mustache? No mustache for you. You end up eating little pieces off of it and then puking them off later. Here. Here. That one. That silly pup. That silly pup. Alright. We're back in it.
I'll be taking that.
We're back in it. Ego drain. Sure. Which Render Inert would you like? Another one. Okay. Which Render Inert would you like? That's fine. That's more than fine. That is more than fine. We lose our Liliana, but we get to kill his
We all
Kaito.
have things we'd rather forget.
I'm fine with that.
A delay. Nothing
Pass the
more.
turn. And then next turn we get to start drawing cards every turn with Tablet of Completion. So it should be fine. Alright. Put 1 on you. Put 1 on you. Cancel. Let's do this to start. Let's draw a card. Ooh, Regatha. Yeah, we're still doing this. Goodbye. Pass the turn. Put another counter on the tablet. And I think we got it at this point. We'll see. Ingenious Prodigy. Let's draw a card. Play Regatha. I think it's important to keep drawing a card every turn so that we can pull ahead card advantage wise over the course of the next few turns. Let's draw. Oh, we already played a land. But we don't have blue. Pass turn. Guess we should have drawn first, right? Well, let's draw a card. Ooh, the Forge. I think I'd rather play that. Make disappear. We'll pay the 2 with tablet. Alright. Forge is very strong. Especially with Kaito.
So this is my opponent. I'm not impressed.
Put you there. Swing at you. Flip it. Oh right, we can only bounce it if it hits the opponent. Which I kind of forgot about.
Let's show these scrapheads what real tech can do.
It's okay though. Draw a card. Pass the turn. Alright, we need to make sure we line things up properly. The Forge needs to resolve first, because it'll count the token as hitting the graveyard. Well then. Oh, he's just gonna scoop. I think we Regatha the Azgol. We will keep this. This looks wonderful. We're gonna start with a lounge. We're gonna get really sad about all these fast lands, because one of them's coming into play tapped. Alright, completion. Pass the turn. Alright, put an oil counter on. We'll jam you. I think we just play the Sylex. Pass turn. Alright, counter on. I think we want to get this Sylex up to 4 ASAP because Shieldred. could play Kaito. I don't think he's got counter spells. It's probably good to play Kaito. Does mean we have to skip a turn putting a counter on the tablet, but I think it's worth it. We'll make a drone in case he destroys the Kaito.
I've got the technological
And we will pass the turn. Show me what you've got. Big score. What do we got in there? Just go for the throat. 7 mana. Big ol' 7 mana. What you got for me? Tali. I'm not all that worried about a Tali. See what he finds. A tablet and a Celestis. That's fine. Put a counter. Shipwreck Marsh. We'll play red, 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 black, black. All will be 1. You cannot attack or block. Ping for 1.
I'll handle this.
We'll just swing. Because we can. We could bounce this to get another, but we're going to decline. End the turn. We want to try to save that for when he's got 2 creatures out if we can. Tali can't swing in. Let's see what else he's got. We can ping for 2. Sure. Alright. Oil counter. Ping. Sure. Oil counter. Ping. Alright, we can do 3 to everything, and then 4 to anything, and then ping ping. I think that's what we do. Well, first we swing, because we can. It's got Death Touch. Wait, we can do 7 damage with this. Hold on a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can just kill him. We can literally just kill him. We can literally just kill him. Oh my god. Goodbye. We're gonna try and make this work, guys. We're gonna try and make this work. Let's keep it. No black and a Liliana, but you know, who needs it? Who needs it anyway? Who needs black mana for a Liliana? Not me. Hello, Haradrim. Haradrim, Haradrim, Haradrim. Alright. He's got enough black mana for the both of us, apparently. It's all good. Play the coast. Play tablet on 2. Cry ourselves a river when we can't do anything. probably holding up cut down and now he's sad. That's right, we make your cut down worthless. Show me what you've got. Okay, that's what you got. Alright, this looks perfect. We're keeping it. Let's go, baby. Azgol on 2. Liliana on 3 if they have a creature. Urabrask's Forge on 3 if they don't. We got a Facade. Start ramping up the Forge. I like it. Pass turn. We'll save the Azgol for later if we don't need it. Cliff Stomper. Alright. The greedmonger in me wants to get the Forge moving. I think I'm gonna try it. We can Liliana next turn, right? But if he plays another creature, I'm gonna be really sad. Might be playing mono red control. Yeah, we'll try this.
Those who get
-2.
tend to regret it.
Alright, Facade's gonna move a counter onto the Forge. And we will swing for 3. Now we just protect the Forge with our removal. And that's it. I am fighting Izzy. This is true. That was rude. That was very rude. In case you were curious. Hit for 2. Discard.
I'm tired of your secrets.
Honestly, I think Azgol is the most meh here. Tarkir flips into a very sizable threat. Alright, we can Render Inert the Koth. I would only put it at 1 though. But we can swing at it for the rest if we want to. This can swing for 3, so we could Tarkir. Don't love it. I don't love it. I don't love it. I think we gotta do this no matter what. And then let's see what we draw. Now we can Tarkir, or we can swing at it. Let's try Tarkir first.
We'll never stop fighting.
Do we uptick? I think we just keep Liliana as removal and don't even bother to uptick. Because he's got more cards in hand than us, so I think upticking is going to hurt us more. Alright, let's see what he's got here. 2 light up the Knights. Well, we can do this. Gonna have to play light up the Knight next turn. Do I want want to make him discard? Nah. We'll do it like this. And then we'll hold on to the Karsus. Ingenious Prodigy. Hey, thanks, Hillbilly. Good luck with the deck. Prodigy. Nobody uses this. It's great in this deck, though. We can bounce it back to our hand with Kaito. We can draw cards with it. We can play it after an All-Will-Be-One is out to, like, do lethal damage. Alright. It's one less thing you can kill with that later. So I'm fine. Each creature and each planeswalker. That is kind of sad. I think I want to hold on to it. I think we just pressure his life total with what we have. Hold on to this in case things go sideways. Come on. Chandra.
We have to win this fight.
So 4 to Thundermoth, 4 to Liliana. The Forge still kills you. You'd have to have instant speed removal for the Forge token. Oh, you're getting mana. Interesting. I mean, I guess. He's not going to be able to deal with the Forge, so he's just doing as much damage as he can. Guess that makes sense. Oh, we gotcha. We gotcha. Alright. We'll keep this. Start with the lounge. Pass the turn. Briefcase. Sure. We're gonna Tarkir, so that if he plays something bigger, the Azgol can kill it. Next turn we can play the Lounge since we don't have a 3-drop, and then on turn 4 we can play the Reef and whatever 4-drop we need to. Herd Migration, sure. Unless we draw a 3-drop, which is what we just did. It's going to make things a little bit trickier. Alright, go to you, Blick. Blickety blick blick. Archangel of Wrath, no kicker. Oh. I'll take it. Goodbye. Smash you. 1 mana away from All-Will-Be-One. Shit's gonna get really real if we can get that down. Topiary Stomper. That gets him to 7 mana next turn. But not necessarily 7 lands to swing with the Stomper. Which is a good thing. Grabbing blue, specifically. What is blue in his deck? Well, I think we want to Kaito.
Relax. I'm here to help.
That won't be able to swing next turn.
That should be enough of a distraction.
Do I want to activate Kaito twice? Or do I want to get my dragon? I think I want to get my dragon. Make him have to have removal for it. Make him have to spend a portion of his turn using that removal. Traxa, that's fine. We can uptick a Traxa all day and all night. Let's see what he grabs here. He hit all enchantments and an Archangel. So that's good. He grabbed the Virtue of Persistence. That seems fine. Monumental Facade. We're going to jam all will be one. We are going to uptick and hit the Atraxa. 1, 2. Not going to be able to kill anything. So we'll just do that.
I can run circles around you.
And we'll do that. Do that. Alright, we'll get you. Bounce you.
Unfortunately for you, my head's in the game.
And then we will uptick you to hit the Topiary Stomper. Do another point of damage.
Too slow.
Ah, we did it in the wrong order again. Oh wait, no, because we bounced it. We didn't kill it. So it didn't hit the graveyard. Archangel kills the Thundermaw, I assume. That's okay. That shouldn't be too tough. One, two. Start with this. Kill you. Make you sack something. Target you. Ping.
I can run circles around you.
Render Inert. Take off the defense counters. Play another Ashen Reaper. Play the land. Another point. Swing in, you can't block. Bounce you.
Take it easy. I've got this.
And then make a drone.
Phyrexia has minions, but I have friends.
Another point from Ashen Reaper. Another point from Ashen Reaper. Can't swing with the Atraxa. He's at 5. He's got to kill the All Will Be One or he's toast. Thundermaw with Roaming Throne. Oh god, that sounds gross. We are jamming new decks. Brews for YouTube. And this thing is rocking Ramp's world right now, and it's making me so happy. Alright, he gains some life. He can't swing with the Atraxa or block because of Kaito. He's got to hit Kaito, right? Okay, hits Kaito.
Got a bad
But we've got the all will be one still, so I think we just win. I think we just win. 1, 2, 3. Three damage.
I win. You're telling me what you know.
Then we
about
-2 make him sack. Oh my god. Let's go. Alright, I'll keep this. Looking to jam one more win for the deck tech before we call it. Sturdy Swift Spear. Alright. I'm going to start with the Cliffs. We can go Tarkir on 2. Yeah, about that. We definitely need to kill the Picnic Ruiner. Because I know he's got some kind of wild combo coming. And then we can Render Inert the Tarkir next turn, and then we can Karsus, kill everything but the Thundermoth. That seems pretty okay. I mean, he might have removal. You have to be very careful. If he swings anyway, then that means he's got pump. Just gotta let him be. Let him through and wipe the board next turn. Questing Druid. Interesting. So now he can't really swing. Wait, what? He must have pump. We go to 7? No blocks. I'm not chancing it. Giant growth. It is what it is. Lay down. Lay down. Yes. All right. This is going to be difficult. Does he have burn left in his hand? I don't know. Swing here. 2 to you. If he's got a shock left in his hand, then it's over. The only way we could have gotten around that is if we Ob Nixilis. But we would have had to sack our Thundermaw and not kill his board, so that would have been very bad. All we need is for him to not have a shock or a lightning strike. And we're fine. I think this works. We really want to sack something to Ob Nixilis. Just don't know what. Let's go Tarkir. Kill that. We'll go here. We'll go here. And we'll hit you. Playing that gets us another 2 damage off Refraction Elemental anyway. Then, just to make sure he doesn't get the burn, we're going to Ob Nix the Adversary, sack the Refraction Elemental. Make a boy, and gain some life. And now we are outside of Lightning Strike range. Didn't really want to sack the Refraction Elemental, but it would have been greedy not to. Sure. Anger. I mean, we gotta just do the thing. Mitigate as much damage as possible, no matter what. And now we win. Oh, hell yeah. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck text, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.